In this video, I'm going to explain how you can do exponential smoothing calculations in Excel. In the previous video, you already watched me doing the exponential smoothing calculations by hand. But I believe if you use Excel, it will be much faster. And as I'm going to show you here, how it can be made possible in Excel. So let's assume that we are given this week the patients coming into our health center. You will remember this problem from our week 4 discussions. And our objective is to be able to make a forecast starting week 16 and further. Okay, we do have 15 weeks observations. For the first 15 week, we do have actually the actual observations of the patients coming into our center. And we are going to make 3 different forecasts. Those are all going to be exponential smoothing forecasts, but by using different alpha values, we are going to generate 3 different forecasts for each time period. Okay, let's get started. Remember, whenever you are making a one-step ahead forecast by using exponential smoothing method, you're going to be using this iterative formula that says that for the next one period ahead forecast, ft plus 1 is going to be equal to the forecast that you made for that current time period plus alpha times is a smoothing factor. We're going to be using 0.1, 0.3, and 0.5 times the differences between the actual observation and the forecast value that you made for that time period. Okay, let's get started with forecast 3. Remember, in the previous video, I told you that you should have a starting forecast before you approach making a forecast for the future by using exponential smoothing method. And in this question, it's given to us as an assumption. It says that assume that the first forecast is actually 77. It is the first actual observation of the first week. So the question basically tells us that we could use the actual observation as our forecast for the exponential smoothing methodology. And then now we can get back to work calculating the forecast, one step ahead forecast starting at week 2. Okay, so let's first fill out the forecast 3, and then we can move on to forecast 4 and forecast 5 by using different alpha values. For week 2, remember, for f2, if I make this t plus 1, 2, and therefore t is going to be 1, for the week 2 forecast, I will be using, since t is equals to 1, I will be using the forecast that I made for the first week plus alpha value is going to be equal to 0.1 times my actual observation for the first week is 77 minus my forecast for the first week will be 77 again. Let's try to calculate this in Excel. So t plus 1, which is going to be f2, is equal to f1 right over here plus the alpha value that I store here times, in the parentheses, I will have to take the differences between a1 minus f1, right? What I will do here is I'm going to hit enter. As you can see, it is going to be 77 again, because remember, at minus ft in this equation is going to be 0, and that's going to be canceling out this alpha times a1 minus f1, and f2 is going to be equals to f1. Is it going to be same for the upcoming time periods? I don't think so. It's going to change because the actual observation is going to be different than my forecast value for the upcoming weeks, and therefore the forecast value is going to be different. But what this says that if you use the starting point of your forecast 3, basically exponential smoothing method with 0.1, alpha smoothing factor is going to give you a forecast value for week 2 as 77. Remember, this is the forecast value. 77 is the forecast value we are making at the end of week 1. Assuming that we don't really have these observations yet. Remember, one of the drawbacks of using exponential smoothing method is the fact that you have to do this iteratively. Although we are trying to make a forecast for week 16, we have to make a forecast for all the previous observations because we have the data for them, right? And then we can make a forecast for week 16. Okay, so is there any quick way to drag this down? Yes, of course there is. What I want to do here with this calculation, remember, I want this to be an iterative process. I want this formula to update itself. What is staying in common in this formula is this parameter alpha, right? Therefore, I have to come over here in this selection. Whenever I drag this down, I want these selections to go down by one, which is going to go like that, but I want this alpha value selected as a constant. So C4 is this alpha value. I will highlight it, I will select it, and I'm using the Mac. I will hit Command and T. If you're using a PC, please hit F4 to add these two dollar signs, just to tell Excel that, hey, Excel, whenever I'm dragging it down or to the right or up, please keep this selection fixed, right? So now I can drag this down all the way down to have my forecast values for the upcoming time periods. As you can see, these are my one-step ahead forecasts. Just to do a sanity check to see whether Excel did it right, you can just look into the formula bar, and you see that it's selected my previous forecast. That's correct. My previous forecast minus my actual observation. That's correct here, and it kept this at alpha point 1. Let's do it one more time by using exponential smoothing method. Alpha value equals to 0.3. Again, my second week's forecast is going to be again 77, but let's set the formula up. It is going to be the previous forecast, T plus my alpha value here times, in parentheses, I will have to select my actual observation minus the forecast that I made for the first time period. Alpha value should be constant, so at the dollar signs, hit enter. And after you do that, you just drag it down. These are going to be my values. Forecast, one step ahead forecast. Okay. Interestingly, my week 16 forecast came out to be, well, actually, those are not same. I got a little bit confused here. So the forecast that I'm making for week 16 at the end of week 15 is 110.9 for week 16. And by using a different smoothing factor, my forecast for week 16 at the end of week 15 came out to be 101.9. And let's make this work. The forecast that I made for week 5 plus alpha value just changed to 0.5. And my actual observations minus my future forecast. Okay, so again, let's do the same trick. We want to keep alpha selected whenever we drag this down. All right, and let's take the digits to the nearest one. And then the forecast that we're making by using alpha equals to 0.5 at the end of week 15 for week 16 is 103.3. So at this point, if you drag them down, what is going to happen here, since we will not have any actual observations here, Excel is not going to be updating these exponential smoothing forecasts correctly. So therefore, these three would be our further forecasts. Let's paste in just the values. So these would be our future forecasts for the upcoming weeks, because at this point, at the end of week 15, we are out of actual observations. We don't know what's going to come up. Therefore, these are going to be the future values that we are predicting for the upcoming weeks. Okay. So in a nutshell, this is how you do quick calculations in Excel by using exponential smoothing method.